companion. Okay, my companions, it's 1 o'clock. We ain't got time for us to focus in. Would you acknowledge yourself for being here, Holy Spirit? Come on, come on, come on. Give it up to you. Give it up to you. Yeah. Welcome to A Course in Miracles. I'm Earl Purdy, and we're going to see if we can go as deep and simple as we can possibly go today. I want to welcome those of you online. Don't forget that we're doing it live, so you have a chance to communicate with me, communicate with each other, so we can go deep. We're going to be on Waking to Redemption on page 207 in A Course in Miracles in chapter 11 and section 4, Waking to Redemption. Chapter 11, we got some spare books up here in case you want to follow along with what we're doing, which might help you with your own personal study of the course. One of the things I've been talking about lately is that, as far as I'm concerned, I'm just here to be a messenger. And as a messenger, what I want to do is try to make sure as much as possible that the course is coming through in a way that will allow people to hear what it's saying. Because what I find with the Course in Miracles most of the time is that people jump ahead to how I'm going to apply this to every area of my life before they actually hear what the book is even saying. And so then it becomes an hour of, well, what about what's happening in work and what's happening with so-and-so? It's like, no, what this is about ultimately, I'd be glad to tackle all the personal issues in the clarity session. Absolutely. Go to my website, earlpurdy.com, and we'll talk about your personal stuff. But what I want to do is, like, if it says something like Waking to Redemption, what is it talking about? What is the message that the Holy Spirit is trying to get across to us? What is it that the thought system is trying to get us to recognize? So the emphasis has been on us understanding and hearing what the Course is saying, and then being able to get out of the paragraph, okay, well, what is it that we're being told to do? Because I don't know about you, but I think I still have an ego. I think so.
Yeah. No, you do.
Damn, I'm telling you. Course in Miracles bouncer. Come on, there's
a disruptor amongst us.
Oh, hell, all the Course in Miracles bouncer gonna say is, you innocent. You innocent.
Then bounce off.
Then bounce off. Yeah, I know. Okay. So we got a nice little group of folks up here. So let's see if we can hear what it's saying. It's the very first Waking to Redemption. If the course is basically talking about love or fear, then Waking to Redemption would be waking to love. Waking to love. Waking to redemption. Waking to love. And don't forget, those of you online, like the Earl Purdy page, so that whenever I come online, you'll be notified. And also share the video. Share the video on your timeline. I had my, okay. All right, I meant to take out my other iPhone so that I could see what you were saying. The first line is, it is impossible not to believe what you see. But it's equally impossible to see what you do not believe. So I'm going to say that again until we hear it. It's impossible not to believe what you see. Why is it that it's impossible not to believe what you see? Well, okay, let me go back again. You need not believe the ideas. You need not accept the ideas. You need not even welcome the ideas. Some of the ideas you may actively resist. Some of the ideas you will find hard to believe, and others may seem to be quite startling. You are not asked to judge. you are not asked to judge the ideas at all. It's the same as saying you're not asked to analyze it at all. It is the use of the ideas that will give the meaning to you and will show you that the ideas are true. I've said a lot of times that when I go over this every week, I know exactly how flight attendants feel. It's like, it's like, get it out the way, because this is really the truth. You don't have to believe it. You don't have to accept it. You don't have to welcome it. Some of it you may actively resist. Some of it you will find hard to believe. Some of it may seem to be quite startling. You're not asked to judge the ideas at all. Their use will give them meaning and show you that they're true. And then there's another section in the Course in Miracles that's called, in Lesson 284. In Lesson 284, you want to hear that it says right in the middle of that paragraph, this is the truth, at first to be but said, and then repeated many times, and next to be accepted as but partly true, with many reservations, then to be seriously considered more and more, and then finally accepted as the truth. So he just told us the stages of accepting the truth. First you hear it a bunch of times, then you have many reservations, but you go, okay, partially I might buy some of this. Then the next thing says, then you consider it more and more, and then you finally accept it. So that's the process of accepting a new idea. Nobody's expecting you to radically 180 degrees shift your way of seeing things just because I said something. So the Course is telling, that's why it says you don't have to believe it, because if you recognize that you don't have to believe it, then you might do the most important thing, which is to allow yourself to hear it. So if I feel like you're not trying to convert me, I might let you hear it. Plus, it really doesn't make any difference. If it's true, it really doesn't make any difference whether you believe it anyway. It's not like just because I don't believe something that means it's not true. As if I'm the arbiter of the truth. So I'm here, this is true if I say it's true, right? So the first sentence says, it is impossible not to believe what you see, because you're seeing what you see because you believe it. So that's why it's saying it's impossible for you not to believe what you see. You're seeing this because you believe it. We are seeing each other right now because we believe it. So it's impossible, so you can say, I see that, but I don't believe it. At some level, if you're seeing it, you do believe it. That's why you're seeing it. But that's also what will free us one day, even though right now it's not turning us on. Because if I truly believe something, then I will see it. If I truly believe in love, I will see it. If I truly believe in my power, I will see it. If I truly believe in freedom, I will see it. That's good to know. The next sentence, part of the sentence says, but it is equally impossible to see what you don't believe. So whatever you are not seeing in your present is what you don't believe or accept is true right now. So it says your perceptions, and this is the scary part, it says perceptions are built up on the basis of experience. So what you see is based on what you have experienced, because it's your experience that leads to your beliefs. Even though we've heard a lot about it's your beliefs that lead to your experience, but of course it's saying actually, you really believe what you've experienced. That's the challenge for us. If I've experienced a difficult childhood, if I have experienced a lot of attack, then when you tell me that that's not real, that that's not the ultimate reality, I'm going to argue with you because my experience says otherwise. So my experience is what's led to my beliefs. And what if my experiences were based on fear, or my experiences were based on separation? So the Course then says, it is not until beliefs are fixed that your perceptions stabilize. So I don't start to see things consistently until my beliefs are fixed. So does that mean when a person has fixed beliefs, then they pretty much consistently see the same thing?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Then it says, in effect then, bottom line is, what you believe, you do see what you believe. You're looking at and you're experiencing and you're seeing. He says you do see what you believe. And then it says, this is what I meant when I said, blessed are ye who have not seen and still believe. Even though I don't see a whole lot of sanity in the world, there's a part of me that still believes there's some out there. You know, so it's like, you know, you're blessed when you have not, I might believe in the good in the person that it looks like I don't see. I want to focus on sometimes what I don't see. The Course in Miracles says that's what charity is. Charity is seeing someone beyond the way that they see themselves, and charity is seeing you beyond the way you may be expressing yourself right now. Charity is realizing your true potential, even though I might not see it. So that's charity. So this whole book is charity. This whole teaching is charity. This whole teaching is saying you all are priceless treasures. You're totally, completely innocent. You're the rule of your universe. You deserve unconditional love.
That's charity.
You are an unlimited spiritual being. You're eternal. Everything you're looking at is a projection of your own mind, a projection of your own consciousness. You know, you're totally, completely loved. You know, you're brilliant. So this whole thing is charity. Seeing us beyond the way we might see ourselves. So I'll say it again. The only guide for everybody that's come in that's new. The only guidelines is you need not believe it, you need not accept it, you need not welcome it. Some of the ideas you may actively resist. Some of the ideas you will find hard to believe. Some of the ideas you will find or may find quite startling. You're not asked to judge the hell out of me at all.
What?
No.
Too late.
And their using it will give the ideas meaning to you and will show you that the ideas are true. So the Course, even though it uses Christian terminology to describe universal spiritual themes, it's only talking about the love that we are and the fear that sometimes we believe we are. That's not true about us. That what we're here is remove the blocks to the awareness of love and the awareness of love's presence.
Oh, hallelujah.
That free will doesn't mean you can establish the curriculum. Free will means you can choose how much of the curriculum you want to take at any given time. If I want to be a lawyer, I don't tell them what I'm going to take to get a degree. They tell me what I'm going to take, and then I decide when I'm going to do it. And that's the premise of the Course. There are certain rules to happiness, to peace. There are universal laws. And those universal laws, all of us eventually are going to have to tap into them, recognize what they are, get to the point that we use them and apply them. When you decide to do that is your free will. Does that make sense? Yeah. And everybody has their own individual curriculum. So everybody's doing this in their own way. So as I share this, I'm going to say this is one way of looking at it. It's not the only way of looking at it. This is one way of looking at it. Okay? So it said, blessed are ye who have not seen and still believe, but for those who believe in resurrection, which is the love, which is the reawakening to the love that we are. Getting past the idea that we are limited physical beings and that we are something that's born, try to get some social security and die. That's not what we were here for. So the Course says it's the complete triumph of Christ over the ego, which is to say it's in the complete triumph of love over fear. How? Not by attack, but by transcendence. For Christ, your true self, your loving self, your real self, does rise above the ego, which is your fear, and all its works, and ascends to the Creator and to the Creator's reality. So your real self will rise above the fear. Your real self will rise above the self-consciousness. Your real self always triumphs.
Yay!
Your real self always. There is no loss. There is no loss. So there are a few universal laws in here. Here we
I love
go.
hearing that.
So there are a few universal laws in here in this first paragraph. Let's see.
Always come out on top.
You win. You always win.
Sometimes I wonder.
You always win.
It's like a win-win-win.
You're a win-win. So here are a few universal laws from this first paragraph. here's a quick review. It's impossible not to believe what you see. It's impossible not to believe what you see. But it's equally impossible to see what you do not believe. It's equally impossible to see what you don't believe. What you believe, you do see. What you believe, you do see. What I believe, I 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 do see. I say what you believe, you do see.
That's right.
What you believe, you do see. What you believe, you do see. What we believe, we do see right now.
Woohoo! Right.
Okay, see, I had to put a little funk in there so I
Lord.
can live it and have a little
Thank
juice.
God.
I'm sorry, I just got to be
Thank
that
God.
way. Just got to be. Even some people look at me like I'm crazy. That's all right. I still do it. I'ma still do it. Still do it.
That's because you're a funker.
All right. That's right, I'm a funk master.
A funker.
That's right. So, so what was the first paragraph telling us? Basically that your perceptions are built up on your experience, what you believe you do see, what you don't believe you don't see. Love will triumph over fear. Who you really are will triumph over fear. Who you really are will always transcend, will always ascend. The only part of you that will not is the part of you that's not you to begin with.
Yeah.
It's just a false idea. See, most of us are believing that our concepts and ideas about ourselves are actually us. Some people, when you ask them who they are and what they are, they tell you what they do. And so they've lost sight of who they really are beyond the programming that we've gotten. So it's trying to get us to understand that your perceptions are based on your experience, and so your perceptions can be lovely liars, because your perceptions will just witness to what you believe and accept as true, which doesn't mean it's necessarily true. Just because you believe it, but you'll see it. All right. Any comments or questions about what that paragraph said? Yes.
What I really like about that, it reminds me of the Rumi quote of what you seek is seeking you. And so what that paragraph makes me think is that if I believe like I'm going to have a bad day, then I'm going to selectively pay attention to whatever validates what I believe.
That's right.
So that means I'm going to have to ignore a lot of other evidence that I'm choosing not to believe that day.
Mm-hmm.
So even a lot of selective believing, depending on whatever story I'm creating.
Amen. 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 If I'm going to look out for red, I'm going to overlook every other color but that. So what you're looking at, that's what it says. What you're looking for, you're more likely to see than what you're not looking for. Okay. Anybody else? Any thoughts?
I find it comforting that we don't actually create all of our experiences, because from our experiences, that's how we develop some of our beliefs. So it feels comforting to me to know that some of the experiences I've had that are distressing, I don't have to tell myself, oh, I created that. And that it's helped me to develop my beliefs, but it's not really my fault. And I don't have to beat myself up about it.
It's not your fault.
Well, projection and blame and guilt is
Yes.
out.
Yes, that's
Yes.
right.
It's out. It's out.
Out.
Yes, yes, it's
So
out. You can
past
come.
life.
Yeah, you can come over. It's so past life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
I have a question about that though. If I didn't create them, then who did?
What you're creating is your way of looking at it,
Right.
for sure. I mean, we could jump to the next level, and the next level is there's not one single solitary thing that ever happens in your experience at any level that you don't create. But it's not
Okay.
talking about the you that we think we are that's sitting up here in
Right.
the room.
Okay.
And so that's where people kind of get, in my perception, confused.
Mhm.
Yeah. In an ultimate sense, I personally believe there's not a single solitary thing that happens in my experience that I did not create.
Right.
But usually, when most people just try to get past the fact they can't figure out how to pay their bills, it's hard to leap them up to the level that you're the creator of your reality on your level. It's not even really smart. It's really just a way of alienating the person and keep them from living in the first place. So when you relate to people in a way that only increases their fear, you may feel like you've been doing great things, but you're lowering the communication.
Yeah, and
You
it
know,
helps
you
me
know.
have more compassion.
Yeah, I'm not
for
gonna walk
everybody.
into a Baptist church and walk in there and say,
Right.
there's no hell.
Right.
And then it's okay, well, they're gonna shut down immediately. They as well as kick me out of the church and call the police in most cases. So it really is not necessary. The same power that's waking us up individually, it's the same power that's available to everybody. So to me, this is my personal feeling, it isn't my responsibility to wake anybody up ultimately anyway. My responsibility is to accept the truth for myself.
Yeah.
And then trust that whoever I'm supposed to be an instrument for the universe knows who that is. And the universe will bring that person into my experience. Because consciously selected miracles are misguided in most cases, the Course says. So you don't know how many people in therapy right now because of your help. So it doesn't always mean just because you think you're the one that needs to wake somebody up that you're the one that needs to. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, it's just the truth. If I walk in the room and I decide who I'm going to help, that's my ego. As far as I'm concerned, that is my ego. This deciding who I'm supposed to heal. Most people who you've helped the most, you never even knew you helped them.
That's right.
Well, and,
You know.
That's right.
and God presents those people to you, you know, like who the lesson of who would God basically have me be today, where would you have me go,
Mhm.
what would you have me say, and who would you have me say it to?
Mm-hmm.
It's not up for like me to choose, it's for me to like accept what day God has given me and to try to utilize it in love to the best of my ability, which
Amen to that.
looks like
And
shit sometimes.
And it's easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, it would be difficult for me to walk in here today and then decide who in this room that I'm going to change their mind.
Oh.
Think about how few times in your life you've ever changed your mind because of something you heard somebody say. That you went into a class and you radically changed your entire life because of what a teacher said. I bet you it was very seldom.
It was over a lot of classes.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's very rarely,
Yes.
especially if you already think you're right and you're okay about the way that you believe.
Yeah.
That's even less inclination for you to look at it another way, and especially if it's working for you.
Yeah.
If it's working for you, you're not going to be inclined to do it differently. It's usually people who have reached their limit in some way that are truly open to another way of looking at things. It's not usually the people who are pretty satisfied. It's not usually the people whose life is not too miserable but is not too happy that makes changes. You know, it's the people that have reached their limit in some way that's usually. Or you've seen such a positive result of the spiritual growth that you've made that you're so sane you want to keep on moving in that direction. So you're excited because you want to keep it going. But people who are like sort of unhappy and sort of happy, in my years of experience, those are the ones who change the slowest. Because there's no real reason.
Right, no motivation.
Yeah, my relationship isn't the best relationship in the world, but you know, but this ain't the worst relationship in the world either. So the job isn't the most inspirational job in the world, but it's not the worst one. It pays my bills. Yeah, so I'll stay on it. It's that shade of gray area that people are usually not anxious to make a big shift, and that's okay because we all wake up one day. One day. Actually, we've already done it. We're looking back on what we did to get to the point that we did. I'm not to break it to you. It's already over. You've already awakened. But you're just looking at what you went through to get there. So the question is, would you join in the resurrection or the crucifixion, which is the same as saying, would you join in love or would you join in love or would you join in fear? Then it says, would you condemn your brothers or free them? And the Course defines a brother as a mind that's joined with yours. So when it says brothers, it's not talking about a physical man and a physical woman. When it says brothers, the Course in Miracles has its own definitions of all the terms that it uses. And it says a brother is just a mind that's joined with yours. So in other words, do I want to condemn you or do I want to set you free? Actually, you already are free, but setting you free, do I want to set you free in my mind? You know, one of those interesting things that I find that people say who are in relationships, they'll say stuff like, I want to free my partner. Or I want to free somebody. It's always hilarious to me. And it's been hilarious to me that I looked at it that way. Like it was, I had to get someone to free me. You know, will you give me my freedom in this relationship? Am I free to go what I want to do? You know, so that's an illusion right there. But if I want to limit you, then I'm going to also try to make it okay to look like you're limiting me. because I give what I want to receive. That's what the Course says. We're always giving. We're always giving what we want to receive, right? So do I want to free you? Do I want to set you free? It's the same as saying, do I want to join in your resurrection, or do I want to join in your crucifixion? You know, and the older I get, the more important it is for me to be able to resurrect. So it's very important. Resurrection is
Did you talk to your doctor about that?
Yes, I did. I talked about it. He said, whatever you do is let go of all anger, guilt, and grievances.
Oh,
and I do that I'm set up from God.
Yeah, I like this doctor.
Kind of
No
prescription
problem. That's right. That's a prescription. These
Insurance
questions.
didn't cover that, did it?
Assurance.
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 You got assurance, not
I got
insurance
assurance. I got assurance.
That's much
coverage.
better coverage.
Yes,
It's much better coverage.
Yeah.
Lower deductible.
Yeah, that's right. Which is perfect. Which is perfect. These questions are all the same, and these questions are answered together. There has been much confusion about what perception means. This is one of the best definitions in the Course of perception. It says because the word perception is used both for awareness and for the interpretation of awareness. So perception is awareness, perception is the interpretation of awareness. So another term for perception is interpretation. Says, yet you cannot be aware without interpretation, you can't be aware. So that means that each and every one of us sitting up in here right now, we are sitting up here interpreting. And everyone is interpreting based on what they've learned and what they believe from their experiences. So none of us are having the exact same experience of each other right now. Everyone is seeing everyone through their own meanings and their own interpretations, which is scary.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, because
not
that means
yours.
you're not really seeing me. You're just seeing your interpretation of me right now. You're just seeing the meanings that you're giving me right now. And then out of those meanings, out of those interpretations, you are then having the feelings and emotions that you're having. So your feelings are coming from your interpretations. Right? It's right there in the book. I'm not making this up. It's there right here. There's been much confusion about what perception means because the word is used both for awareness and for the interpretation of awareness. You cannot be aware without interpretation. There's no such thing as you being aware without interpretation. So there's nothing that you it's according to this, which you what? Don't have to believe. Now don't forget the guidelines. You don't have to believe it. It's okay if you don't believe it. But just because you don't believe something, what? It doesn't necessarily mean that it's not true. Because you don't agree with something doesn't necessarily mean it's not true. And it took me a while to get there, because when I first got into metaphysics and I was really hearing about my beliefs create my reality, my beliefs, then there was a part of me that believed it wasn't true, something wasn't true unless I believed it.
Yeah.
As if there wasn't a truth beyond what I made up according to my beliefs. And so I'm glad that that's true. I'm glad that reality isn't what I believe, frankly, and that there's a greater intelligence that's in charge of things that's beyond my egotistical intelligence that's making up what it wants as it goes along that it think is going to make it happen. One of my biggest errors is believing that I am just a physical body, and that this is primarily my learning device. It's my way of expressing myself in this plane, in this existence, but it's no more me than a skin diver's outfit is the skin dive. Actually, ultimately, because it changes. Form changes. So no form is real in the sense that none of it is changed. This form has changed since I was 10 years old. And I would guess yours has too. So, but you are still there. That essential self that I am is the same self that I can remember running around in the yard as a child. It just has more life experience. So to me, it's like my body is changing around me. But now I realize I'm not even in my body. My body is in me. You're not in your body. Your body's in your mind. Everything you're looking at is in your mind.
And that one too.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. So what you perceive is your interpretation. So what is the practical value of knowing that? To me, the practical value of knowing that is that my unhappiness is not being caused by anything outside of myself. It's being caused by my interpretation of everything that's going on around me. So therefore, I could be happy in this moment. I could be happy right now. I could be joyful right now. It just calls for me to change my mind, to make a decision. The Course teaches that happiness is a decision that you make. You know, I have to decide that I'm going to look at it differently. If you set it up where your happiness is dependent on anybody else being different, then you set it up that you can keep yourself miserable for the rest of your life because you don't have a control over how everyone else around you behaves and acts. So therefore, we are being given a very practical answer. First of all, being told that we could change our experiences and allow ourselves to change what we believe, then we would also change the way that we would feel. But who we really are is going to triumph over any guilt or fears or angers anyway.
Yes.
You were created by something that loves you so much that it will even correct your error, like you changed the diaper of a baby that's just pooped. You know what I'm saying? It's like at that level, you could be provided for by your greater self, by your God self, by your spiritual self.
Yeah.
You know, so that's good news.
That is really
That's good news.
I'm into that.
It's good news to know I could change my interpretation and therefore change my experience, and I'm in control of my interpretation, and what I perceive is my interpretation. So if you look around the room, you're looking at your interpretations. So the next line says this course is perfectly clear. The reason why I used the book is because I would like for those who this may be their path, and it's not everybody's path, that they would see that, hey, what I'm talking about is writing the book so you could get the book and you could also study it and you could also get it. The goal of a really good teacher is to make themselves unnecessary. And I've done this successfully in most relationships. I can't tell you how many times I made myself unnecessary in relationships.
Very successful.
Well done. I'm so unnecessary they don't even want to see me for the rest of their lives.
Wow, dang.
I'm really. But all relationships are destined to become here because there's just one of us here.
Oh.
We're just pretending like there's a lot of people here. There's just one of us here. That's all it really is just one of us. Anyway. And that's why the course keeps saying it's the repetition, it's the repetition, it's the repetition, it's the repetition. Says this course is perfectly clear. If you don't see it clearly, there's a reason. And the reason why you don't see it clearly is because you're interpreting against it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Therefore, you don't believe it. So if I don't believe it, I'm interpreting against it, even though it's perfectly clear. What's perfectly clear? What's perfectly clear is that you can choose between love and fear. What's perfectly clear is that what you're seeing is nothing but your interpretation. What's perfectly clear is that your true self can rise above your ego and your fear. What's perfectly clear that your perceptions are based on your experiences lead to your beliefs. What's perfectly clear is you don't believe what you don't believe, you don't see, and what you see is what you do believe. That's perfectly clear. Everybody in here is capable of hearing that, right? But then what did it say at the end? It says, but you're totally capable of also interpreting against it. So if you decide to interpret against it, you won't believe it,
Right,
Won't
sure.
see it.
and then you won't see it.
Right.
Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. Those of you online, does that make sense? Okay, Les says to be on the new path is to be on a whole new set of interpretations. That's exactly right. To
Very
get on
true.
the path, I'm looking for a whole new set of interpretations. Thank you, Brother Les. Kim saying happy birthday to Mola.
Yeah, that's right. Everybody talking to Mola.
Everybody talking to the Mola. Thank you, the Mola. That's going to bring salvation.
hi to you,
That's going to
Mola.
bring salvation to so many people.
Yeah.
And truth to so many people.
Chance another check around the set.
That's right.
For a decision and a choice.
This is the Mola's birthday. Let's reach. Your body has whatever age your body is right now.
I'm still watching it.
You are eternal.
Yes, you are.
You are eternal, there,
Yes,
brother.
I am.
You know what I'm saying? Black don't crack.
In the story.
That's the story.
That's
It's another belief.
That's a good, there you
It's
go.
another
That's
belief.
interpretation.
And I see it.
So the court says, why is it you don't believe something? Because I'm interpreting against it, even if it's something that's clear and simple. Then it goes on to say, since belief determines perception, you don't perceive what it means. You don't perceive what the course means, and therefore you don't accept what the course means. Then you work back. Okay, I don't accept what the course means. Why? Because I don't perceive what it means, and what I believe is going to determine what I see, and I'm interpreting against it, so I don't believe it. I work back again. I don't believe it. Why is I don't believe it? I don't believe it because I don't accept it. I don't accept it because I am interpreting against it, so I don't believe it. It's that simple. sometimes when you come into a new situation that you say you want to learn something different, if you're still on the learning path, because there is a point in your spiritual growth, you go beyond learning. But there are beliefs that need to be undone to get to that point. The Course is trying to make us aware of the fact that it says right here, yet different experiences lead to different beliefs, and with different beliefs and experiences, you have different perceptions. So your different perceptions are coming from your different beliefs, which are coming from your different experiences. So perceptions are learned with beliefs, but experience does teach. So every time I come in here, I'm trying to give myself the experience of joining, the experience of connection, the experience of seeing you as with me, the experience of not judging you, the experience of loving you as best I can. Also, it says, I'm leading you to a new kind of experience that you will become less and less willing to deny. And that's been my experience with the Course in Miracles the last 38 years. It's that it's been giving me new kinds of experiences of love and peace and joy, and peace especially, that I become less and less willing to deny. So the more I practice it, the more I have experiences that I become less and less willing to deny the truth of what I'm studying, because I'm getting the results of it. And so since I'm getting the results of it, then I'm going to keep on doing what works. I remember when I would stop doing what worked. There was a point in my on my spiritual path that every time it would work, that would be when I would stop. Instead of keep doing it. And sometimes people come to a focus on the truth like you would focus on an aspirin if you had a headache. Right now I'm unhappy about something, so I'm going to focus on the truth. I'm going to go to a class, I'm going to read a book until I feel better, and then I'm going to put it down and go back to doing the thing that I did that produced me needing to go to the book in the first place, rather than I have a thirst for awakening and joining and knowledge and enlightenment that's coming from within me. That's going to be there no matter what's going on in my physical world. That's the way I feel about it. There's nothing else to do but to be a conduit of love and service. That once you begin to wake up and you begin to realize, oh, I'm here to be a conduit for love. I'm here to be a conduit for truth. What I do in the world, that's just the setting that I'm going to act out that. So I look at this as a great big set, like a movie set, with an unlimited budget.
Yeah.
Right? And then we come in to play these various roles that we call our special function, or whatever it is, the thing you call yourself doing in the world. That's your special function, but you're here to be a conduit of love. And somebody that's awake is somebody that knows that the more you can do anything to encourage more of an awareness of love in your life, and everything is going to be a reflection of what you experience and what you believe, then you're going to give what you want to receive, and you really want to receive love. So you would want to be a conduit for that, right? And so the Course in Miracles then says that perceptions are learned with beliefs, experience does teach. I'm leading you to a new kind of experience that you'll become less and less willing to deny. Learning of Christ, which is learning of your true self, learning of love, is easy. So if you're learning of your true self, it isn't a struggle. It isn't hard. So one of the ways I can tell when I'm off is how much struggle I'm perceiving in my experience. You know, now some people say no pain, no gain. I've heard that a lot. They actually get upset when I'm around people like that and they're complaining about how hard their life is, and then they turn around and say no pain, no gain. And I'm like going, wait a minute, now you said life should be a struggle. Now you're having pain from struggle. You should be ecstatic. You're having what you believe you need to go through in order to grow. And so the Course is saying learning of your true self is easy, for to proceed with your true self, to see with love involves no strain at all. If I'm allowing love to come through me, it's not a strain. You know, you think you're loving somebody, but it's a strain. It's a possibility it's not love that's coming through you. It's not love that you're expressing. If it's such a big strain, that's a way to look at it. Your true self's perceptions are your natural awareness. I love that. Love's perceptions are your natural awareness, and it is only the distortions, guess what? It's only the distortions that you introduce that tire you. So why am I tired today? Because I'm distorting things all day long, and that's why I have to pass out at the end of the day. I've been so busy judging all day and having so many distorted perceptions, it makes me tired. So let the Christ, let your true self in you interpret for you. Don't try to limit what you see by the narrow little beliefs that you have that are unworthy of you.
Yeah.
What? Don't try to limit what you see. How? How do you limit what you see? By having narrow, limited beliefs. That's how. That's how you limit what you see. And the Course says, for until Christ, which is your true self, comes into you, you will see yourself as without a creator. So if I'm unaware of who I really am, then I live my life as if I'm autonomous, self-sufficient, and I created myself, and there's nothing greater than my own ego that I could tune into, you know, which would be me seeing myself as fatherless, me seeing myself as without a creator. One of my favorite lines in the Course in Miracles is, you did not create yourself, because we act like we created ourselves. We live like we're on our own. We got to do it all on ourselves, all by ourselves. And then we're shocked when it looks like we're doing it all by ourselves. But if you believe that you must do it by yourself, don't forget the universe always says yes. Yeah, you think you have to do it alone? Yes. You think you're by yourself? Yes. You think nothing goes right for you? Yes. You think things do? Yes. You think you're supported? Yes. So what is your universe saying yes to? So that paragraph was really powerful. So what did it say? It says that this Course is clear. If you don't see what it's saying, it's just that right now you're interpreting against it and you don't believe it, and guess what? That's okay. It's not for everybody. It's for who it's for. Then the next thing it says to us is that your perceptions are built up by your beliefs, but you're being led to an experience that's going to be so cool that you're going to become less and less willing to deny how cool it is when you listen to your true self, as opposed to listening to your false self, and that the perceptions of your true self are your natural awareness, so there's no strain in it. And when you're really experiencing love, there's no strain in that. And the only thing that's limiting us is narrow little beliefs that tell us we're unworthy in some way. So bottom line is, the way that I feel is coming from the meanings and interpretations that I'm giving to everything. So anybody else have any thoughts, any comments, any questions about what that paragraph we just got to hear? I'm welcoming that. Don't say you don't get a chance to share your thoughts and your opinions. Okay, as important as they are, and the same with mine. You got your chance as long as you got to do that. Some people are going to see it the way you see it. Some people are not. It's okay. There you go. Which way? Go ahead.
Yeah, well, when you were about to start the class, there was like 2 minutes left, so there was almost no one here. So I was thinking, this is interesting, but then I kind of like listened to my voice and thought, whoever's meant to be here will be here. So that had to do with my belief at that point in time. And 5 minutes later, boom, everyone is here.
Yeah, no, it's funny, when there's a small group of people, everybody, not everybody, but many people come in fact, it's their duty to let me know it's a small group of people, as if I can't see how many people. But they don't realize that I've been told through my inner teacher and through the Course that whoever comes is sent. So it has nothing to do with anything other than maybe 2 people this week and maybe 50 people the next week.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But our ego needs the numbers in order for it to feel like it's really a successful teacher. And it doesn't make any difference whether it's 3 people in here or whether it's full all the way to the sanctuary. And anybody that's been here long enough knows that that's what happens. Yeah. But if you judge yourself according to the world's values, then you're going to also go through the depressions that go through that. So I can't use the world's interpretations of success anymore. I can't use the world's interpretations of prosperity, relationship, nothing anymore. Because all of that locks me back into that thought system. And part of that is being concerned about numbers. That would be locking me into that illusion, right? Because the main thing is I'm teaching for is I need what I'm teaching. And so pretty much I've been in every class I've taught. It's been a couple of times I've been and I wasn't there. But most classes that I've been to, I've actually been there. And so guess what, you all? Every time I do this, who do you think walks away with more of a fixed perception of what this is saying? Me. So it's almost impossible to forget something that you're always reminding others of. So I'm doing this first and foremost because I want to remember it for myself, because if my perception is going to come from my consciousness, the more I fill my consciousness with truth and love, the more my reality is going to reflect that. And that's exactly what happened last night. Okay. And that's exactly what's happening today. You see what I mean? And so you have to let people come and go. That's another lesson about being a teacher. You have to learn how to love people, but let them go. You know, because I can't tell you how many people that I thought I had really close relationships with, but the minute they lost interest in the course, they lost interest in me. And they were going into some other part of their life that they need to do. I'm not saying they have a negative perception of me, but unless I become a means to help them achieve a goal,
Right.
then there's no need to kind of like interface with me that much. I mean, that might sound cold to say that, but that's not really cold. It's like people have goals, and then it's about how much you fit into that goal, how much time they spend with you or contact you, right? So if the course isn't working for you, and I seem to be a symbol of that in your mind, it would make perfect sense that also it's a good chance. I mean, there are always very rare exceptions to that, but I also lose my importance, also. And so, but then does that mean I hold back because I know that I might never see some of you again? No, the love that comes through me has an effect on me. It feels good, so I give it because it feels good. I give it because that's what actually I'm a conduit. It's not coming from me. Love isn't coming from any of us. It's about getting out of the way, and love is coming from us. See, that's the paradox of it all. So you had something you wanted to say, Megan?
I was just gonna say, some of your comments in this paragraph just reminded me of how insane my ego is, because it's like when it says the narrow little beliefs that are unworthy, and then when you mention the feeling of wanting to be like autonomous on your own, and so what I realize is those moments where I'm so faithless and I think I'm on my own and there's no creator, like I did create myself. That's the exact same time that I need all of you and everything and everybody to change for me to be happy.
Right.
So it's like I'm the most dependent on everything and everyone else changing while I'm so alone and doing it all myself. And then the part of me that actually believes in a creator and that has faith doesn't need all of that. So it's funny because it's like I actually get a lot more autonomy through faith in a creator than I get when I think I'm all on my own here.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else?
I had a slight differentiation or clarify the decision versus choice.
And what was it?
Decision versus choice. I'm not really sure.
No, okay.
Because there was a point in there that
Well, you know,
it's
funny.
the decision.
What's funny that you
When
said.
I decide, you know, and I usually use the word choose.
Well, I look at the word decision and choice synonymously, personally. And this again is just that's all we do. We just share it. Yeah, I see choice and decision as basically the same, exact same thing. Yeah, and that's what the course is. It's a book of synonyms. That's all it is.
Same.
Yeah.
Well, like lexically speaking, doesn't decision mean that there's something that we have to enact, whereas like choices can be by neglect as well. Like we choose to do things by what we choose not to do as well. Whereas I feel like decisions come more from a place of like through you, whereas choices can be made for you by not making a decision. So on some level, they're synonymous, but I feel like they have slightly different energy as far as like the directness maybe of a decision, whereas a choice could be almost in any direction.
Thank you.
I think is how it kind of felt to me when
Well,
you said that there might be a difference.
Well, that's why when I say I'm also open to hearing
Oh yeah.
whatever
And there's
comments you have.
synonymous.
Because we're like a many faceted diamond, and we all have different ways of looking at the exact same thing and experiencing it. Yeah.
I kind of see some of the same things because I see a loop here. You know, my beliefs are based on my experience. My experience is based on my perception. My perception could be wrong, which led to my experience, which led to my beliefs, which are reinforcing my perception.
And that's exactly
So
right.
I see this loop that I have to unwind.
Yeah.
And that's where it's like, blessed are ye
Yeah.
that have not seen and still believe,
That's
which
how
is the way I read
right.
heard the decision. That there's times that it's like, hey, I'm gonna do exercise 15 just because
Thank you.
I need to reinforce
Yes.
whatever it is until I change that
Yeah.
loop.
That's how you break that loop.
And that was what I was
And
saying
that's
about
our decision.
the course. I often say that the Course in Miracles to me reads in a circular way. That it's not linear; it's very circular, you know. But what's the beauty? Then again, go back down to like how it talks about the truth is very simple, which is okay, if I walked away from here with just the understanding that my interpretation is what is giving me the reactions and feelings that I'm having and stuff, and then I go, okay, well, what are the interpretations I could start using that would eventually give me a different experience? See, that's bottom line. Bottom line is you want to experience joy. We can complicate it as much as we like, but the truth is, I give everything I see all the meaning it has for me, and then from those meanings that I'm giving it is determining how I'm feeling. So I need some new meanings, and then this book says, well, okay, I got some new meanings you can start focusing on, and other spiritual texts that I'm going to give you some ways to look at it, maybe other than the way you're looking at it. So to me, the real gift is us being given new ways of looking at things, another way to approach it, and then everything other than that is just, it's great stuff to use, to communicate, to talk about, that can be truly helpful. But what can I take out of this today that I could take into my everyday experience to allow myself to have more inner peace? And in having more inner peace, I can hear my inner guidance, because I can't hear my inner guidance if I'm full of conflict and fear. So that's why I'm going to always keep bringing it back to, what is it that you heard that resonated with you, that you feel like you could implement in some way in your experience that would be helpful, rather than what did you say that I can interpret against, and that's what I'm going to focus in on.
Right.
You might have said 9 out of 10 things that I could resonate with and use, but you said one thing that I don't agree with, so I'm going to negate everything that was just said. And yes, you're right, but it would be even cooler if you went, it wasn't an accident that I'm here today, just possibility that something could be said that would be beneficial to me, because I don't know everything. I don't know everything. Not the little limited idea that I have of myself. I'm sure our infinite intelligent self knows all it is in all dimensions in time and space. But you don't know what color the sheet is on my bed. So shut up. You know what I'm saying? About you know everything at a conscious level. We don't know everything. We don't know everything at a conscious level, at this level of consciousness, right?
Yes.
But we'll say, oh, I know everything. Yeah, real you does. I don't have any doubt about that. But to me, I think I am not so much. Yeah.
I would like to testify after being on the road for almost 11
And it's great to see you back,
Oh my
Jen.
God.
It's great to see you back after 11 months of wandering around
Yes.
and having a good time.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
And that the more I apply this material, the more miraculous my life becomes, and the more I see the experiences of what my new beliefs are based on this teaching. And the more I do that, the more I keep going back to it. It's like, this is what I'm going to choose to believe no matter what happens in my life, and these are the results that I'm getting. And what you just said also about joining and separation, one of my purposes, I realize, is to go out in the world and see how we all can join, and how we're more similar than we are different, and overlooking the differences, and unless we can celebrate them. And because of that, I only meet kind, loving, friendly, wonderful, helpful, amazing people on my travels. This stuff works. It works. It works.
And guess what? Like you said, you had experiences.
Yes.
Now.
And now I believe it more and more and more.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's what's so cool about being together with people like you who wanted to, hopefully, are here because you want to allow the blocks to love and love's presence to be removed, so we can join. You know, so we can connect. We already are, so it'd be nice if we recognized it. I think we would have a lot more fun, since we really don't have a choice about it anyway. Because it's like we get to the point that we realize it's just even an illusion of choice. But sometimes you have to have the illusion of choice to go beyond it. You know, you're destined, for want of a better word, to know yourself as the love that you truly are. Sorry, you're loved.
Yeah.
You're loved, no matter what you believe. You're loved. And so I can either form relationships to help me forget that, or I can form relationships to help me remember that. Those are only two kind of relationships I got. The ones that help me remember the truth, or the ones I'm using to help me forget the truth. Yeah, and I have to remember to listen, because sometimes when you think you know, then you really don't listen to what other people got to say. And you don't really know anything about the people that are around you, because they just shut up and don't say anything.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, because you're not listening anymore. And so you're juicy and cute. That's bottom line. That's the way it ultimately is, no matter what you might think
What
about
workbook lesson
yourself.
is that, by the way?
That's
what lesson.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's
That's
the,
right.
that's the free lesson.
That's right.
That's the board.
Is that workbook lesson 007?
That's right. I'm leading you. I love this. I'm leading you to a new kind of experience that you become less and less willing to deny.
Yes.
That's what we're going through
That's
right
where we're
now.
going.
So let's acknowledge ourselves for hearing this much today, Holy God. We ultimately are also. Now remember, I'm gonna do a quick recap of what we covered, and what we're gonna do now. We do the financial expression of appreciation for those who would like to share. Thank you as a full-time teacher. Thank you on behalf of Unity Temple, this really cool place that we're meeting at, and all that you give is given to you.
Yes.
That's the truth of it. Thank you for that. Thank you for passing it around. Okay. Also, those of you who are watching online that would like to make a financial expression of appreciation, just go to Earl Purdy, www.earlpurdy.com, P-U-R-D-Y. Also, I want to, next Saturday, July 21st, 2018, I'm doing what I call a hardcore Course in Miracles class. And it's going to be from 10 to 3. To me, this is one of the most important workshops that I've done because I've been wanting to take 40 years of focusing in on the Course in Miracles and really get into a lot of the deeper teachings of A Course in Miracles that I cannot get into necessarily in an hour for sure, and certainly not in one class. So those of you who have been studying, that are really, really interested, that you know it's the direction that you want to go in, and you'd like to take advantage of someone who's been teaching and obsessed and learning it for decades now, that's what this is for. It's not necessarily for a beginner in the sense that it's not necessarily one that's being aimed at people who are still on the fence about even whether they really want to do it or not. I'll have a different workshop for that. But this one is really for people who say, you know what, this speaks to me, I really want to do it, and I want to take advantage of someone that's been doing it for a long time and working with people and maybe can save some time. The Course in Miracles teaches that the purpose of a relationship is to save time. You can either use them to delay it, you can use it to save time. If I know nothing about auto transmissions and I'm around somebody who's been doing it for 30 years and I'm trying to learn it, it could save me time. It has nothing to do with me and that person being unequal.
Right.
Right? And sometimes people approach it like that. Well, thank you. Well, you treat me like I'm unequal. No, I'm not at all. I'm saying you know nothing about this, and this is something that I've been committed and dedicated to for years. There's probably something about this curriculum that could be helpful. And if you distrust me and you're afraid and you feel like they don't use me. I've often said that to people, if what you feel is uncomfortable, or I don't resonate to you, or I don't feel right, then it's okay with me if you don't come. I don't have a problem with that. Go and learn through somebody you feel open and loving and trusting with. That's what I would advise. Right? Does that make sense?
Feels much better.
Yeah. So I would love to teach people who love me as a teacher and a student want to work with me and go deeper with what I'm doing. And this workshop is going to be about that. I have all the details on my website, earlpurdy.com, and it's this coming Saturday, July 21st. And I know the people that are here. And it's also going to be virtual. It's also going to be online. So no matter where you are, you could be a part of it. And I'm excited about that. You'd be shocked at how many people are tuning in and live with you and with us right now that feel a part of it. So I'm excited about that. Because when it's time for me to stop, I'm just getting warmed up.
Yes.
This turns me on. Where, if you're newer to it, it could be the thing that puts you to sleep. Because the Course in Miracles has something in it that's guaranteed to offend everyone. That's the way it is. Whether it's the Christian terminology, the masculine terminology, or sounds so much Bible, or the word God, or you hear the word Christ, like everything you need to work through and learn how to let go of and let your charge go about. It's right there in the book. You know, how can I see I've often said, how can I see myself as this unlimited spiritual being, but if I hear a word, I lose it? Then that means that's something I need to change about my perception. That's all. Because I don't want to be on a level of consciousness that a word sends me into a tailspin, whether I agree with it or not. And so I believe growing up and being born, grew up in Southern Baptist, where I learned a lot about hell and damnation and all this kind of stuff, it would make sense to me that Spirit would send me a curriculum with all those charged words so that I could learn another way of looking at it and another way of seeing it. So I started out with the very metaphysical aspects of spiritual truth. And then I went into the course. And then it went, whoa, when I saw how it was written and stuff like that. But my whole spiritual path started out with the discovery of astrology and numerology, which is a blueprint of the intentions of the soul in coming into this particular experience. So before a person would have a judgment on that, understand that I got on a spiritual path that makes me want to be a much more loving being, period, as a result of that particular type of teaching. So we can't judge what anybody's doing or how they got into anything that they got into. And so I like to bring all of that into my personal sessions that I do with people called clarity sessions, which is also a service that I render, using all of these new thought teachings, bringing them to your personal situation, and using my knowledge of astrology and numerology in working with you. For those who are interested in that, I'm driving you all to my website. That makes it easy. Go to my website. It explains all that. I'm here to be truly helpful. That's why I'm on the planet. But then I'm going to tell you, those of you who have been telling me, I want you to do a hardcore class, I want you to support me in doing this, I've heard so many people say that. Now's an opportunity, and you're innocent if you don't, because it'll always be what? The people there who should be there. That's bottom line. That allows me to keep my peace in this situation. Because he says, regardless of your reaction to the ideas in the Course, he says use the ideas. The Course says, I don't care how you're reacting, just still use it. So it's not even saying repress or suppress or that you got to really, really love it. You know, and also there's my very, very, very incredibly good friend Anna Gajawa that's here today, and she does an incredible Course in Miracles class every Monday. What time, Anna?
7 to 8:30 p.m.
7 to 8:30
Rocky Mountain Miracle
at the
Center.
Rocky Mountain
Where's
Miracle
that at?
Center.
It's in the DU area.
It's in the DU
I-10
area.
5 and
What's that
Colorado.
address? What's that address?
1939 South Monroe.
1939 South Monroe.
And she also
you know.
live streams them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
live
also
stream them
live
on
stream on
Facebook.
Facebook.
Yeah.
And so Anna's incredible also. And I want to invite you to come to her classes also. So there's a lot of cool stuff that's going on. Now, those of you watching online, Tuesday night I do a class called The Way of Mastery. I teach out of some material called The Way of Mastery on Tuesdays on Facebook Live at 7 o'clock Mountain Time. And then on Thursdays I do what I call Hardcore Course in Miracles at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. And then Sundays we do our 1 o'clock class so we can come together. The other two are just only on Facebook Live. And this is the one that we get a chance. People say, well, I want to make sure we can still join and connect. And so that's why I'm still doing it here. So take advantage of the fact that we can still meet on Sundays and join and connect with each other. The Course in Miracles is a course in the correct perception, looking at things with love. It says if we look at things truly with love, it's a miracle.
Yes.
That's why it's called A Course in Miracles. So I'm thrilled. I'm excited. Those of you who are watching online, you all been doing some incredible sharing today. They've been awesome. So take a breath, and I'm going to go do a quick review, and then we can run out of here as fast as we can. All right.
And
But don't
remember
forget-
this all.
And remember every word.
Any of it.
And don't forget, hugs are available for those who like a hug. I absolutely love hugs. Yeah. All right, so take a breath. It is impossible to believe. It's impossible not to believe what you see. It's impossible to see what you do not believe. Your perceptions are built up on the basis of experience, and experience leads to beliefs. What you believe, you do see. What I believe, I do see. Blessed are ye who have not seen, and guess what? Still believe. Listen to me. Your true self, the love that you are, is going to transcend any of your ego and your fear. Do you want to join in the resurrection, which is love, or the crucifixion, which is fear? Will you condemn each other or set each other free? Will you condemn each other or will you set each other free? Don't forget, perception is interpretation. Perception is interpretation according to the course. You can't be aware without interpretation. What you perceive is your interpretation, is what you perceive. What you perceive is your interpretation. What I perceive is my interpretation. What I perceive is my interpretation. What I perceive is my interpretation. Tell somebody, what you perceive is what is your interpretation. What you perceive, say what is your interpretation. What you perceive is your interpretation. That's what you're looking at. No matter what, then go, this course is perfectly clear. If you don't see it clearly, it's because you are interpreting against it. That means you don't believe it. But guess what? Different experiences lead to different beliefs. Your perceptions are learned with beliefs, and experience does teach. You're being led to a new kind of experience. And learning of your true self is easy. Don't limit yourself. Don't limit anybody else by little narrow beliefs that you may be holding about yourself or them. Those of you online, let me know if you're interested in doing what we're doing this weekend. You all are getting ready to go out into the lab.
Yes, we are.
You're going to get a chance now to put everything you believe is true into action.
Pray for us.
Come on. Let peace extend from our mind. Let's give it up. I love y'all. Thank you for coming today. Y'all are awesome. Go ahead. So who's available? Hey, you online? You know what I'm talking about. I love you. I love you.
I know what I'm talking
You know what I'm talking about.
about.